Are we record? I think we are recording. That joint ain't even. It ain't give me no countdown, y'all. Anyway, what's up? We back. We back from the Philippines. We about to. I got a cold. Uncle Mike got a cold, man. Here we go. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. What is YouTube? We back, baby. And it's come find out Diddy broke. Is he broke at the music recording network? Trying to let him know I got some skills still. Here we go, y'all.
Since you came to our channel,
Since you came,
we'd like to thank you.
Hey, thank y'all. Hey, let me know where y'all from. Put it in the comments below to let me know.
Since you're coming to our channel to see what we do.
Ow.
Let's know where you're from. Since you're coming to our channel, we do this for you.
Let's do it.
Let's know where you're from. Please subscribe to our channel and party with us. Let's know where you're from.
What's up, y'all? Hey, every now and then I just let them know that I'm old. I'm tired as I don't know what. I ain't do nothing. Like I ran a lap. What's going on, y'all? Hey, I just wanted to I miss my studio, miss playing my instruments. I don't play much. I miss home. 30-day vacation, y'all. Woo, Lord Jesus. Shout out to everybody who was rocking with me while I was in the Philippines doing my thing. Shout out to y'all. Got my new shirt. I ordered some clothes and they didn't come until I got back. So, hey, Uncle Mike looking fly. What's up, y'all? What's up? Uncle Mike looking fly. Got my fly shirt on. Looking sexy for the girls. I ain't gonna, for the ladies, not the girls, the ladies. Check it out, man. I come back, man. A lot of things have changed. With my friends and stuff, man. So many people I can't do wrong, man. I don't know why. I heard that a YouTube, I don't know if he was famous, but he kind of known in our area, I guess, got locked up. One of my friends that got locked up, I heard. I'm like, God dang, man, people doing some, man, I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm letting y'all know right now, man, in 5 years, it's going to be some crazy stuff going on, man, because the AI taking over, the robots are taking over, cars about to start driving by themselves. It's just so much stuff that's happening in our world, man. The only way to make money will be online. The robot's gonna do all the work. What you gonna do? Then you got AI and you got I don't know how I end up going off on this stuff, man. My little niece that's in the Philippines, she works online. I'm sorry, y'all, I got a cold too. I caught a cold on the way back. And I was sitting down talking to her, and she sit there with the computer stuff and everything and do her work every night because she work at night because she working for people in America, right? And I'm just letting y'all know this, man. Real talk from Uncle Mike, man, for real. She makes, I think I calculated $300 a month, $350 a month, and I'm like, what? Jesus Christ. So, and she's happy. See, people are losing their jobs in the United States, man. And these companies can afford to get somebody to do the work online cheaper. And I can't be late. And she is excited. I love my job. I like my job. She sent her son to she paid for the school. It ain't public school. I don't know if it's Catholic or it's a certain school that she paid for her son to go to school. So she love her job. I'm saying all that to let y'all know that, man. Oh Lord, if y'all knew half the stuff Uncle Mike knew, man, y'all would be paying attention to that. So anyway, I'm starting a YouTube course. I have already started a YouTube course. We got a YouTube course, but I'm about to put the pedal to the metal and I'm going to teach people. I'm starting an organization where I'm going to be going live on our live channel at least 3 times a week. At the least. I want to say 4 times. But I'm going to be helping some people to change. This whole channel, man, my soul is about helping people. My soul is about helping people. So everybody that's listening to my voice and everybody that's supporting Uncle Mike, man, I thank y'all. I thank all my subscribers. I don't take none of this stuff lightly, man. All the talent that God gave me. I don't try to brag and say I know how to play the saxophone because I can't play it. I don't know how to play that thing. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a person to act like you all that and doing this, that, and the third, and you ain't doing sugar. Anyway, Diddy loses. Diddy lose it as shocking reports reveal has I can't even read, y'all. That's one thing Uncle Mike can't do. I brag on the shit I can't do. Forget that. Can't watch his mouth when he need to. I'm tired, man. I'm sitting here. I got prescription glasses for a change. My fiance made me buy prescription glasses. Don't want to mess with her, y'all. She heavy-handed, y'all. She got some heavy hands. So anyway, our reveal has dropped to 0. He can't pay legal bills. Diddy loses it. Oh man, Diddy loses it as shocking reports reveal his revenue has dropped to 0. He can't pay legal bills. He can't pay the legal bill. Y'all hit that thumbs up, man. Long crime, y'all know how they do. I'm sorry, man. I've been talking and everything. We're going to get to the video. Y'all hit that subscribe button, baby. Hit that bell. Hey, let's check this bad boy. Yeah. Of course it's on
Forbes
mute.
now.
Of course it's on mute. It's on mute. Let's go, baby.
Sean Diddy Combs isn't just fighting for his freedom, he's fighting to hold on to his fortune. Forbes now estimates his net worth is $400 million, a significant drop from the $740 million valuation just a few years ago.
$400 million? What? And what we supposed to do? Cry? What for? Wait a minute. Did she say, wait a minute. Nah, she said 4 million, right? She had to say 4 million. Even if she said 4 million, what? All I want to see is 1 million, baby. One.
Forbes now estimates his net worth is $400 million, a significant drop from the $740 million valuation just a few years ago.
Man, you talking $400 million like you just said $400. Puffy network is worth $400. Now I feel bad for him. 400 million? Get the F out of here, man.
But that number could shrink even more. Federal prosecutors are moving to seize assets tied to the alleged criminal activity, and if convicted, Combs could lose everything from luxury properties to his music rights. In response, he's hired one of the best in the business to lead his defense against the government's sweeping forfeiture action.
The empire of Sean Diddy Combs has reached a point no one ever thought possible. For decades, Diddy presented himself as one of the most powerful figures in music, fashion, nightlife, and culture. He was the mogul who made it clear he could not be stopped.
Once considered a billionaire with a vodka line, a TV network, and a clothing brand, Sean Combs' fortune has taken a major hit. Forbes estimates his net worth is roughly $400 million, nearly half of what it was just a few years ago. Both his Beverly Hills and Miami mansions were raided in March of 2024 as part of the investigation into his alleged crimes. And that number may continue to drop as Combs faces a federal trial and a Justice Department forfeiture action that could cost him his empire. An empire that prosecutors allege was built, at least in part, through a pattern of criminal activity, including alleged sex trafficking, drug distribution, and violence, all used to advance what they call a racketeering enterprise. In the unsealed indictment, prosecutors out.
My bad, y'all. Now I can believe that. I can believe that Diddy was. I think this is what I think. I think Diddy was getting them young boys or getting what I'm gonna call fresh meat. I think these millionaires and billionaires that's sitting up there, I think they like fresh meat, man. That's what I think. Just like a man who like women, they like a virgin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm guessing at all this stuff, man. I'm putting the pieces together and I'm saying, man, this is my hypothesis. Yeah, man.
Action that could cost him his empire. An empire that prosecutors allege was built, at least in part, through a pattern of criminal activity, including alleged sex trafficking, drug distribution, and violence, all used to advance what they call a racketeering enterprise. In the unsealed indictment, prosecutors outline how his business and personal assets allegedly played a role in carrying out or concealing the crimes. This means any assets connected to the behavior, even indirectly, could be seized, including real estate, companies, vehicles, and aircrafts. Now, his $60 million private jet has reportedly already been sold. The Beverly Hills estate is currently on the market for $61 million. And while Combs still owns his $48 million Miami mansion, a judge denied his request to use it as collateral for bond. In week 2 of testimony, Homeland Security Special Agent Gannon took the stand. Gannon, who helped lead the March raids of Combs' homes, walked jurors through photos of the items seized. Among them, parts of AR-15 style rifles with the serial number scratched off, loaded magazines, a Gucci bag reportedly filled with ketamine and MDMA, and personal items like lingerie and dozens of bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Prosecutors say this evidence is critical to establishing the elements required under federal racketeering laws, helping them show a pattern of alleged crime, criminal behavior used to sustain or conceal the enterprise. In an effort to protect what's left of his assets, Combs hired Stefan Casella, former deputy chief of the Justice Department's asset forfeiture and money laundering section, to fight the forfeiture action. If the jury finds Combs guilty, it will be up to them to determine how much of Combs' assets are subject to forfeiture. Anything forfeited after a conviction could be used to support alleged victims. Sean Combs denies all allegations. And to help us break down what's at stake, I'm joined by Jim Trusty. He's the former chief of the Department of Justice, Organized Crime and Gang Section. Jim, thank you so much for coming on today.
Sure. Good to be here.
So, Jim, let's start with the forfeiture. This isn't just about prison time anymore. Prosecutors want his empire. From what you've seen in the filings, how aggressive is this?
Well, it looks to be very aggressive, and there's a couple of reasons I say that. The first is it's very broadly worded. What they're talking about is essentially any property, real or personal, that could constitute either facilitating property or instrumentalities, they call it, or proceeds. And so that's kind of the whole business empire of P. Diddy being at risk. And that's the second part, which is it's a RICO case, a criminal enterprise case, where they've defined the organization, the criminal enterprise, as not just Sean Combs, but as all these business interests that he has, including liquor labels, music labels, everything else you can think of. So they've set it up in a way where when they get to a forfeiture phase, if there's a conviction, the sky's the limit, and it looks like they're going to try to take a...
The businessman who constantly reminded the world of his wealth, his reach, and his dominance. But the reports coming out now paint a picture that is darker and more devastating than anything the industry has ever witnessed. Diddy's revenue has reportedly collapsed to zero. The man who once had millions pouring into his accounts from every direction now finds himself with nothing to show, nothing coming in, and no way to keep up with the legal battles that are swallowing him alive. This is not just a small setback. This is not a temporary dip in fortune. What's happening to Diddy right now is the complete and utter collapse of an empire that took decades to build. To understand just how devastating this is, you have to look at where Diddy started and how carefully he positioned himself as a cultural and financial powerhouse. From the early days of Bad Boy Records, when he was shaping the sound of an entire generation with artists like the Notorious B.I.G. and Maze, Diddy established himself as more than a producer. He was a mogul in the making. He wasn't satisfied with just music. He wanted clothing lines, liquor brands.
Is that normal, though, for the government to file something so broad?
I've seen it before. I mean, in the context of racketeering cases, you tell a much more complete story in a RICO case. You don't just focus on a particular moment in time or a crime. You tell the whole story of this criminal enterprise, which lends itself to big forfeiture moments. And so it's not totally unusual to see it this broadly worded. What I think is a little unusual is it's not very specific in terms of any preliminary seizures. It looks like they haven't actually seized anything yet, even though they executed search warrants and looked for evidence of things. And so a lot of times you'll see listings in there of bank accounts, automobiles, jets, whatever, that the government has already preliminarily seized to make sure it's still going to be available at the time they do a forfeiture hearing. So this one, it's a blank slate. And it's blank enough where if you're the defense attorney and you get to this next phase, which, by the way, is supposed to be with the same jury. They may not know that yet. But that second phase would be one where you really would say to the judge, I don't have any notice here, Your Honor. This is so broadly worded. I need to particularize it, have a chance to digest it, and perhaps bring in expert testimony on both sides about kind of legitimate sources of income versus illegitimate ones.
And you mentioned that, they're also linking his company. So maybe that's his, record studio, or maybe that's, his vodka line. But how does something like a vodka line, how can that potentially even be mixed up with this? How can they say that that's linked to an alleged crime?
Yeah, it's really one of two or maybe even three ways. One is if there's somehow a tie-in where that property, that business was used to facilitate the freak-offs that are in the indictment, for instance, or obstructionist behavior. So if they literally used a record studio for a party and the record studio belonged to one of his companies, you could say that actually facilitated or was an instrumentality to support the criminal conduct. The other way is essentially if it is a proceed, if it was essentially built on money that comes from illegal activity. And then thirdly, and this is where it gets really crazy confusing, so I'll keep it short. Sometimes there's something called substitute assets where the government says, okay, we realize that particular asset, that car, that piece of art was not actually bought by proceeds or served to contribute to the crime. But because we can't find enough to satisfy the overall amount we're owed, we're going to take it as a substitute asset. It's a very government-friendly area, this whole idea of federal forfeiture. And again, I think they're in a position where they might have their mitts on almost anything he's ever touched.
Damn,
And how
Young, that's great. Dude, if they want you, I ain't even gonna say the government. I don't know who it is that want them. If they want you, these higher ups, they gonna get you. They gonna burn you. If they want to be nice to you and lenient, whatever you did, you did. Everybody got this dirt. You know what I'm saying? Especially high up there. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, this man ain't getting out of jail no time soon, bruh. When I say no time soon, it's no time soon he getting out of jail. They burning him. They want to burn him at the stake, Young. They want to teach him a lesson that's going to be over 10 years long. Period. Why you think this judge ain't letting him out? They have no reason right now. They have no reason for him not to be out on bail. That's real talk. Y'all know that. Y'all know this. And they still ain't letting him out. Why? Think about that one.
It's a very government-friendly area, this whole idea of federal forfeiture. And again, I think they're in a position where they might have their mitts on almost anything he's ever touched.
And how do they decide just that number that they're looking for? Is there kind of like a flat out number that the government, when charging with these types of cases, that they say, hey, we're looking for 50 million, we're looking for 60 million? How do they decide how much?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, that is an easier task in some circumstances where you have a fraud situation where you can tell the amount of victimization and say, well, look, it adds up to 2.5 million, and they put that in the forfeiture indictment. They don't have that here. In a drug case, for instance, you might say, well, they were responsible for 10 kilograms of cocaine. A kilogram's about 30,000. So we're looking for 3 million, do the math. Here, it's much more wide open. I think you're looking at an actual trial within a trial if we get to the forfeiture phase, where there's going to be experts saying this is money that's untouched by any sort of criminal enterprise from the defense side, and maybe a forensic auditor from the FBI saying, here's why we're entitled to all these types of proceeds or instruments. So it is a wide open battlefield. It's going to be kind of a textbook example of how deep the government tries to reach for forfeiture if they get to that point.
At what point does that kind of strategy from prosecutors become legally risky for them, though?
Reality shows, and real estate empires, and for years, he had all of it. By the 2000s, Diddy was not just a hip-hop figure, he was an icon of wealth and luxury. His Sean John clothing line was everywhere. His Ciroc vodka partnership turned into one of the most profitable liquor deals in music history. He bragged about making money while he slept, and for a long time, it looked like nothing could shake him. But every empire, no matter how strong it looks on the outside, has cracks forming beneath the surface, and with Diddy, those cracks have now split open, leaving everything in ruins. According to the reports circulating now, Diddy's revenue has been completely obliterated. The music royalties that once padded his accounts have been swallowed by legal fees and settlements. The partnerships that kept him flush with cash have severed ties. The businesses that bore his name are now ghosting him, afraid of being dragged down by the scandals that follow him like a shadow. And
that's the thing.
Man, a lot of them don't want to do business with him because they know he was found guilty on 2 things, bruh. And these legit liquor businesses that have been handed down through generations as alcohol liquor. Now they legit. They don't have no reason to do nothing wrong. And I'm going to be tied in with this dude? Nah, brother, I can find somebody else to do business with. I can find Uncle Mike. Me and him can do business. Yeah, that's real talk, man. How you look?
His revenue has been completely obliterated. The music royalties that once padded his accounts have been swallowed by legal fees and settlements.
Okay.
The partnerships that kept him flush with cash have severed ties. The businesses that bore his name are now ghosting him, afraid of being dragged down by the scandals that follow him like a shadow.
What would you do? What if you was in business with this man and your company and your family? Yo, man, like I can't do business with you, dog. They saying that you beating up on ladies. Oh my God. I don't know.
That's the thing. I mean, the court of public opinion every now and then turns on forfeiture. And, the idea of forfeiture is that you don't want people to not just get away with crime, but profit from it. Being criminally prosecuted and put in prison doesn't mean that you've lost the assets. And so the idea is to kind of make things even, to hold people accountable, to not let them profit from criminal activity. But over time, you see abuses. You see situations where a person barely had a role in some sort of criminal conspiracy. I mean, literally was on the job for one day and is ordered to forfeit millions of dollars. And that bubbles up to the Supreme Court where they say this is just not totally fair. So there are abuses of the forfeiture system that are seen from time to time. I think, look, if P. Diddy, if Sean Combs is convicted in this case, I don't think he's going to necessarily gin up a ton of sympathy, but there may be legal observers that say, hey, this is a broad, overreaching moment, when they try to collect every single penny that a guy who obviously had legitimate income over long periods of his life.
And for those that do say, hey, isn't this just a financial overreach? How do prosecutors justify that?
Yeah, I think they justify it by saying, in this case, they'll say, look, 2 things. Number one, we didn't disable him financially pre-trial. We haven't actually locked into his accounts and taken things and frozen things where it might even affect his ability to hire attorneys or hire experts. And secondly, they say, look, it's a criminal enterprise that extended for a number of years, that where he had financial profit from this kind of power and control over an enterprise. So I don't expect them to be apologetic. I mean, they may end up showing moments of moderation where they say, well, we're not going to go after this company or that company, but they've left it all on the table for now where they can do a very broad, deeply reaching process if they want to.
And Sean Combs, he's already sold one jet. The Beverly Hills mansion of his is on the market for $61 million or so. Does that seem like someone who is confident that they'll walk, or could that work for or against him in court?
It's probably not going to be anything that's particularly admissible during the trial. It could come up during the forfeiture just to show that, his overall stock has dropped. I mean, I think he's down to his last 400 million. It's a real tough spot to be in. But, but I think at the end of the day, you really can't draw any firm conclusions. He knows he's got a battle of his life going on right now. I mean, this is a life eligible racketeering case. Doesn't mean he'll necessarily get life. It's not a mandatory sentence. But, if the facts continue to be established of years of abusive and controlling behavior, it paints a pretty dark picture for him in terms of sentencing.
And Sean Combs, he's now brought in Mr. Casella, someone who literally wrote the book on asset forfeiture. What's Casella's role likely to be here?
Well, I worked with Steph at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland for years. He is literally the expert on forfeiture. Whenever I have a situation in private practice where I have a question mark about forfeiture, that poor guy has to take my phone call. So he's a great pick. He knows what he's doing. He knows both the process and the law, which can be a little bit different sometimes. I think he's probably, getting them prepared for the types of challenges. And by the way, I don't know this from him, but I would guess that he's basically figuring out what are the types of challenges we could raise in a forfeiture phase. What are the deficiencies in the government's approach? In other words, are they not discounting lawful employment by Sean Combs? And frankly, some of it could even relate to like how he's spending money right now. When you have a broad forfeiture allegation, it's kind of hard.
Let's be clear, these aren't just small brand deals. We're talking about multi-million-dollar partnerships that evaporated overnight as soon as the lawsuits, the raids, and the accusations began piling up. His liquor empire, which was once the pride of his business portfolio, is reportedly frozen. That deal with Ciroc, the one that defined him as a businessman, has turned into a nightmare. Payments have stopped, partnerships are fractured, his revenue from clothing lines is gone, his streaming money is tangled up in legal disputes, and his once glamorous empire now looks like a ghost town. The collapse is not just financial, it's symbolic. For decades, Diddy embodied wealth in hip-hop. He was the blueprint for turning music into moguldom. And now, that blueprint has burned to ashes. The financial fallout is only made worse by the legal storm he faces. Lawyers do not come cheap. Top-tier attorneys who fight federal cases can cost tens of millions of dollars. Add in investigators, court fees, settlements, and the non-stop avalanche of new filings, and the price tag becomes astronomical. But here's the problem: when the money stops
in resources, because you think you're about to be brought up on criminal charges, that can get expensive to defend it. Am I totally off? And again, we don't know if criminal charges are coming, but am I thinking it the wrong way?
It's not crazy. Civil cases take a long time, right? So civil cases generally take anywhere from 18 to 36 months to really get to the point where you're ready for trial. There's discovery stages, there's motions that are filed, there's objections that are filed. So sometimes, yes, that comes into play. If you have a high-powered civil firm that is billing you a couple $1 million a month, and you can settle something out for 15 million or 20 million, and you know that this may drag on for another year, then it's just a matter of economics. Sometimes people get very, very caught up in these civil cases personality-wise, where they're just like, I want to spend anything it takes to make sure this individual feels like I'm not going to be taken advantage of. When it comes down to something like economics, yes, you have a point. It could be that, these firms, these very large firms that are charging $2,000, $2,500 an hour, they can bill $500,000, $1 million a month without even blinking an eye. And like I said, if you think that this is going to go on for another 12, 18 months and you're doing the economics and you can settle something for 20 million bucks, you might want to do that. And especially, like I said, I think also it comes into play that discovery fact that he might have to take the fifth if during a deposition they're asking questions about his veracity for truthfulness or his character. And if you take the fifth, obviously that's not a good look for any kind of motions that they may want to file, a motion for summary judgment or anything like that.
And just to go back, the reason I'm asking this question is because everybody wants to know whether or not Sean Combs is going to be indicted, right? I think that's what a lot of people are wondering, and they're trying to see every single development or legal development or PR development. Does that give them a window into what might be happening or what Combs might be happening? And you mentioned something to me, and I thought it was really interesting. The Grubman's firm does civil work, right? They don't do criminal defense work. Diddy hasn't been charged with a crime at this point in time, but I do find it interesting that again, allegedly Lady Gaga went to them and said, either you drop him or I'm leaving now, right? So we had all the lawsuits going on. We had the raids going on. We had the Cassandra Ventura video happen. We had the apology video happen. The fact that this is happening now, what does that tell you? Again, assuming this allegation is true that she went to them and they decided to drop him.
It could be coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I've been saying, the Southern District of New York is a very serious district. My belief is he's going to be indicted before the end of the summer. I've been saying that since the first day of the raid. I think they're just dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And it could be, listen, we could be looking at like maybe Lady Gaga or someone she knows was subpoenaed to be in front of a grand jury. I don't know, and it could be that she started to feel uncomfortable knowing that this thing is moving forward. Who knows? But certainly I know that Lady Gaga is a individual that looks out for her image very closely. I think that she hires individuals that are the type of individuals that keep their cards close to their chest. She's not out there doing crazy stuff. You don't see pictures of
flowing in. Even a mogul can find himself broke. And according to these reports, that is exactly what's happening to Diddy. His legal team is demanding upfront payments, and insiders claim he can't keep up. Some even whisper that members of his defense team are considering walking away if he can't produce the cash. For Diddy, this is humiliation like never before. This is a man who built his entire brand around excess and invincibility. His parties were legendary. His cars, his homes, his fashion, all of it screamed wealth. He made sure the world saw him as untouchable. But behind the scenes, the lavish lifestyle comes with a price tag. And without money pouring in, the mansions, the jets, the private security, and the image of a billionaire mogul all become impossible to maintain. Insiders say that those close to him have noticed the change. The once confident mogul is now lashing out in anger, snapping at his team, and showing signs of panic. He knows what this means. Without money, his power crumbles.
Her doing crazy things. I ran across her once at a hotel in New York. She was at the bar at a hotel in New York. She had very, very low-key security, not big, gigantic guys that are pushing people out of the way. And in fact, when someone was taking a picture of her at the bar, one of her like low-key security guys walked over and said, "Hey, listen, if you guys delete that photo, we can treat you to the next round. It's really not appropriate," and was totally cool about it. And I think that's the type of individual. I was impressed because a lot of my clients hire those big guys that are like, very aggressive, and she's very low-key. So it doesn't surprise me that she would pull this move if she actually did. Because I don't think she wants to be associated in any way, shape, or manner with something that may ding her image or ding, the type of reputation she has. And there could be more to it. Like I said, I don't know if she's dealt with him in the past and they wanted to talk to her about something. Who knows?
But this is a big loss, right? Do you know anything about Alan Grubman? Or his firm or his reputation?
I mean, the guy's he's pretty much a legend. Yeah, he's a legend if you're a lawyer that deals with entertainers, and I've been doing this for 27 years, and you don't know who he is, I'd be surprised because he's represented not only living artists for a long time, he's represented estates of artists in selling
the
their catalogs.
David Bowie, I believe, right?
Correct. So he's a well-known guy. And he's got an impeccable reputation. So you'd be hard pressed to find someone who's in this field and deals with entertainers that wouldn't know who he is.
Does that make it difficult for another big powered firm to take up Diddy as a client, even on the civil front, after Grubman's firm dropped him or allegedly dropped him?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I think he'll find new representation. I don't think it's impossible. Certainly, there's always lawyers that are willing to take someone that's willing to pay them. So, whether or not it's going to be a firm that's as high powered as his, I don't know. But there's a lot of excellent attorneys in the entertainment field. I'm very good friends with Theo Settlemeyer, who's another attorney who does, Eminem and 50 Cent. And so, listen, there's different individuals in that field that are excellent. And I think they'll be able to find somebody.
But in that case, he wouldn't be able to represent him because he represents 50 Cent, who has
Yes.
quite an adverse relationship to, but which,
Yes.
by the way, makes me, just to go back from a legal point of view, Grubman's firm, is that a conflict if you have one client who doesn't like your other client? Not that they're necessarily in a legal battle with one another or they have adverse interests, but if one client doesn't like the other client, is that a conflict at all?
It's not a conflict where you have to get off the case. The only time it would be a conflict if they have a direct conflict, right? If they are embroiled in a lawsuit, or if one's suing someone on the other one's team, things of that nature. Listen, it's more of, hey, listen, I don't want to do business with you guys if you're doing business with this person. And listen, when you're doing, like me, I represent a lot of individuals that are in the rap business. And you know how there's always these rap beefs. So I always have to check who has a beef with who before I pick up a new case, because sometimes my old clients might have a problem with my new clients. And I always check with them first because, like I said, I have a very good relationship. I've been representing some of my clients for 10 or 15 years. So I always try to, gauge that. And I've turned people down because of...
Without money, the lawyers walk. Without money, the lawsuits swallow him whole. And without money, his carefully crafted image of being the king of hip-hop moguls disappears forever. This financial collapse doesn't just affect Diddy himself. It ripples out to his family and those who relied on him. His children, who grew up in luxury, may be forced to watch the empire vanish. The employees and business associates who once counted on his wealth are now distancing themselves, afraid that being tied to him could ruin their own futures. Even his closest allies in the industry are silent, not daring to stand next to him in public. The industry is stunned. To see a man who was once at the absolute top of the game fall this hard, this fast, is almost impossible to believe. But it's happening. The lawsuits drained him. The investigations cut him off from his accounts. The brand severed ties. And now, the man who bragged about being able to buy anything he wanted finds himself unable to even pay for his own defense. What makes this collapse even more brutal is the way it exposes the truth about wealth in the entertainment industry. For years, people believed Diddy was a billionaire untouchable mogul, but wealth on paper is not the
one in California, one in Florida. After that, September 2024, a couple months later, he was indicted on federal charges. Those charges were racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. There have also been a couple of superseding indictments into all of this. He has pleaded not guilty, and since his arrest in September, he's been held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and jury selection in this case begins next week. Now, more civil suits were filed after Diddy's arrest, including one that's worth noting. Now, it's been dropped since all of this, but I gotta mention it. It was filed by a woman identifying only as Jane Doe, and she alleged that P. Diddy raped her in the year 2000 when she was only 13 years old. She says that it happened at a VMA's after party. She was drugged and then raped allegedly by Diddy. Now, at first in her lawsuit, she lists multiple other people, one by the name of Celebrity A, who she says raped her, and Celebrity B, a female celebrity who allegedly watched this. So at first everyone's like, wait, who's Celebrity A and B? What's going on? Jane Doe later amended her lawsuit. She listed the name for Celebrity A as Sean Carter, who you may know as Jay-Z. However, Jay-Z's team came out swinging into all of this. They found discrepancies in her story. So she eventually did an interview into all of this, and they listed, oh, you said one thing in the interview, a different thing in the lawsuit. This doesn't make sense. They talked to her dad. A lot of discrepancies in all of this, and eventually the lawsuit was dropped. However, Jay-Z did file suit against her and her attorney, Tony Busby, for defamation. Jay-Z was brought up in another lawsuit too, this time by a guy named Joseph Manzaro. He alleges, quote, Plaintiff, meaning Joseph Manzaro, was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of coercive and organized criminal enterprise beginning in 2015, orchestrated and facilitated by the defendants. The pattern of threats, concealment, manipulation, and psychological coercion persisted for years, extending the statute of limitations under federal tolling doctrines. He alleges kind of similar things, that he was drugged, taken against his will to Star Island in Miami, and sexually assaulted. He mentions multiple times the phrase sexual maiming in the lawsuit, which is just a very vivid and disturbing picture. He also mentions in the lawsuit those infamous tunnels. So if you remember when things first started circulating about P. Diddy, this could be even prior to his arrest. There were those videos, articles, whatever, there are these tunnels under P. Diddy's mansion, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, okay, what? However, this is when we hear about the tunnels in a lawsuit. He says there was a tunnel connecting from Diddy's mansion to another mansion. And here's where we get a few more celebrity names. Singer Gloria Estefan and her husband, producer and defendant in this specific case, Emilio Estefan. This is straight from the lawsuit quote. Plaintiff was dragged through the back entrance of the Estefan mansion at approximately 12:30 a.m. Inside, Gloria Estefan panicked upon seeing plaintiff's deteriorating state, demanding, quote, call an ambulance. However, defendant Emilio quickly silenced her and ushered her away into the crowd. Now, once the celebrity name drops start in this lawsuit, they just don't stop. Here's more straight from the lawsuit quote. At that moment, plaintiff briefly saw LeBron James, who was wearing a white bath towel, brown shower shoes, and carrying a shaving bag, walking through the hallway.
Dude, I'm trying to tell y'all know LeBron James left the Lakers for a little while. He was so upset over all this stuff because he know good and well he was there, and he don't know how this stuff works. He's too new at this. This is just this how I feel. And they probably set him down, man, relax, don't worry about it. We got people to cover that. This person that said this, it's just he say, she say. Don't worry about it. We got higher ups that's going to dismiss all this stuff. Y'all sure, man? Because I can't even play. I'm scared. I'm trembling. Because he know he was there. Just like Jay-Z sent his goons after that little girl. And that little girl was scared out of her wits. And she dropped that lawsuit. Do you want to live or you want to sue? And you want to get big time? You don't want to play this game. You don't want to play this game. We found you. We came to your house. Yeah, man, they done scared that little girl. And she got, she a little slow. Something wrong with her, poor thing. I feel sorry for her, man. She know good and well what happened. She got a lot of holes in her story. But don't tell me ain't nothing happened. Just like this dude she talking about. Got a lot of holes in your story. But it sure is funny. Ali Carter talk about daggone tunnels. Now somebody else talking about some tunnels. This stuff gonna come out one way or the other. It's gonna come out, bruh.
From the lawsuit quote. At that moment, plaintiff briefly saw LeBron James, who was wearing a white bath towel, brown shower shoes, and carrying a shaving bag, walking through the hallway. LeBron James looked at plaintiff and, in response to Gloria Estefan's plan for an ambulance, remarked, y'all better do something about that. Plaintiff was then led by defendant Adria, who identified herself as Diddy's personal sexual assistant, and through a concealed...
Damn. He got a personal sexual assistant. Assistant? Damn. Damn, Diddy. Are you sure that's what she... You heard what she said? A personal...
Remarked, y'all better do something about that. Plaintiff was then led by defendant Adria, who identified herself as Diddy's personal sexual assistant, and through a concealed tunnel that connected the Estefan man.
Same as cash flow. When your assets are tied up in companies, properties, and frozen accounts, liquidity becomes a nightmare, and without liquidity, even a man like Diddy can find himself broke overnight. The lawsuits are not stopping. The cases are piling up. And every single one of them costs money that Diddy no longer has coming in. Insiders say he is scrambling for solutions, desperately trying to liquidate assets and find new streams of income. But the reality is bleak. No major brand wants to be associated with him. No investor wants to attach themselves to the scandals surrounding his name. And with every passing day, the walls close in tighter. This is not just a fall from grace. This is a total financial collapse. The man who once called himself a king of hip-hop empires now faces the possibility of losing everything. His reputation is shattered. His businesses are gone. His revenue streams have dried up. And his legal problems are only growing worse. For Diddy, this is the nightmare scenario he always thought he was too powerful to face. And now the question is simple. Can he survive this? Without money, without partners, without allies, and without the image of untouchable wealth. Who is Sean Diddy Combs? For decades, he built himself up as larger than life. But now, stripped of revenue and staring down the reality of legal ruin, he's just another man in freefall. Even more shocking is the ripple effect this is having on his family and those who once depended on him financially.
Known to man. And so he was a very famous, and now some might say infamous person. The idea that he allows the narrative to end with the way in which the evidence came in and this kind of mixed bag verdict is not what's the word I'm looking for? If I don't see Diddy allowing the last chapter of his book to be written with this trial. Instead, the person that he's held himself out to be and who we now understand him to be is someone who is going to say, look, this was a dark chapter in my life, but now I'm going to show you the phoenix rising from the ashes. And there are other chapters. And I think that he will make an even more concerted effort to be more philanthropic, to be more of a victim's advocate. And also, once he completes these programs, he can say, look, I was once an abuser of women, abuser of drugs, abuser of fame, abuser of power and fortune, but look who I am now. And so I think that's a pretty powerful story. And frankly, people love comeback stories.
Yeah, they do love a good comeback story. But I'm curious, in your opinion, do you think that this is all just for maybe a showmanship, or do you think it's all for PR? So that way, Diddy can walk out of MDC Brooklyn or possibly a potential prison and just be like, you know what, I am a changed person. But also in that same breath, what kind of message do you think that sends to victims out there who may have been abused or, something had happened to them by a high profile figure? They want to report this to police. They want to either go to maybe a civil lawyer, all of that stuff. But then after this trial, they are like, no, I can't do that. Look what happened in this case. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, there are definitely people who are victims advocates and victims themselves who think that this trial serves to kind of throw cold water, if you will, and chill victims who might want to come forward to express what happened to them, to initiate a criminal case, to initiate a civil case. They look at this case and say, at what cost is it to me personally to have to bare my soul, to only then be grilled on cross-examination, to have all of my intimate details bantied about, in the media, and then to be judged, and then go through all of that, and I walk away in some ways empty-handed. Now, that's certainly one way of looking at things, and there's a lot of credibility as it relates to understanding how someone could feel that way. Mm-hmm. The flip side, because remember, the scales of justice isn't just one side, there's two sides. The other side, if you will, is at what point in time does a person pay in full their price to society? And then once they've paid the price for their transgressions, at what point do you then look at that person and feel like, hey, you could be a changed person. You can redeem yourself. There's things that you can do to essentially prove to us as members of the public, as clients, as customers, that, you're a changed man. And so that's the hill Diddy has to climb. Whether he climbs that hill or not remains to be seen. But it's definitely a hill that's in front of him. And some might say it's not a hill, it's a mountain.
It is a mountain for Diddy. I think it might honestly be Mount Everest. It's a large mountain for him to scale, for, I think, people to...
I'm glad she said that, man, because this dude right here...
Bullshit?
Uh-huh.
A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
They said, Diddy, dude, if I was in a abusive relationship, and I'm talking as a female or whatever, if I was a female in an abusive relationship or whatever, or if I needed counseling, I wouldn't want to get it from Diddy. Now, after what he done did, I too used to abuse girls, but I'm a changed man, so now I'm gonna help you get out this relationship. I don't think women want to hear that from him, especially after that video. and that weak apology. I think it's bull, man. And I think a lot of people buying into that bull. But let's keep going. Let's see how much more bull we got going on. Man, that's crazy, man. That's all I got to say. That's crazy.
Possibly forgetting their conscience, what we learned in this.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's the hill Diddy has to climb. Whether he climbs that hill or not remains to be seen. But it's definitely a hill that's in front of him. And some might say it's not a hill, it's a mountain.
Dang.
It is a mountain for Diddy. I think it might honestly be Mount Everest. It's a large mountain for him to scale, for I think people to possibly forget in their conscience what we learned in this trial. And I remember when Sean Combs, we've been covering this since Cassie's lawsuit, since 2023, November of that year. And I just remember thinking that there would be some type of reckoning within the hip hop community, the Black community, as far as Me Too goes, something kind of similar. And I thought, possibly, and I think maybe other people thought so too, that maybe Sean Combs was kind of that person that would, bring about this kind of reckoning in the hip hop community as far as Me Too goes. But do you think that can still happen? Do you think that will still happen?
Well, I think
financially, with revenue dried up, the lavish lifestyle that Diddy maintained for decades is at risk of vanishing completely. The mansions, the luxury cars, the private jets, without money flowing in, keeping up appearances becomes impossible. And if these reports are true, then what's unfolding before us is not just a legal nightmare, but a financial one that could permanently strip Diddy of the empire he worked so hard to build. Once a kingpin of wealth and influence, he now finds himself drowning in debt, surrounded by lawsuits, and unable to escape the crushing weight of his own reality. The reports are clear: his revenue has collapsed, his empire has crumbled, his fortune is gone, and unless a miracle happens, this may be the end of Diddy as the world once knew him. Because no matter how powerful you think you are, no matter how much you build, when the money stops flowing, everything comes crashing down. And for Diddy, the crash has arrived, louder and more devastating than anyone could have imagined. This is not just a scandal, this is not just a setback, this is the complete destruction of a financial empire, and it leaves Diddy with nothing but the wreckage of what once was. His revenue is gone, his empire is gone, and the man who always bragged can't stop, won't stop has finally hit the wall.
Dang. Man, there's nowhere in the world, dude. I keep telling you, man, I was at the airport coming home, y'all, and I ran into a couple, and they was, I was telling them about the YouTube channel and all this stuff. And, they tell them, people getting bits and pieces of this story. I started following this story because I was a Bad Boy fan, doing music, right? I'm trying to make my beats sound like their beats. Biggie. Man, I'm trying to do. How do they get them sounds? I need them sounds so I can make my own Bad Boy beats. I tried out for making of a band. I drove to New York plenty of times and tried to do business with Bad Boy. I thought I was ready, man. I'm vicious with this thing, man. And I ain't get picked, I'm glad, thank you, Jesus. But the thing about it is, I can't believe this man that I really, that's why I said it in my song. I really admired. He went to Howard University, y'all. That's like 15-minute drive away from my house. Well, back then, I live in Waldorf now, but I could just drive down to Howard. I done did about 10 different shows in the last 2 years at Howard University. Right there, this is my stomping grounds, bruh. I can't believe Diddy's locked in a cell, tunnels under his house, and he can't make bail. Even his neighbors scared stiff won't retrieve their ball. When it bounced over Diddy gate, they will not call. They said this. Scared as sugar of this man. Something got to be done, man. This ain't over with, dog. There's the Lil Rod case coming up. They going to look at this case now. However this court system bull crap happens. And I'm still looking for this little girl she has a female lawyer that can't stop crying. Every time you see her on video, she crying. Baby, suck it up and get to this case. Stop crying. What's done is done. You can't change the future. I mean the past. Can't change the past. What you got to do now is stick it to them. Get your revenge. Stop crying, baby. You crying ain't gonna help. You done cried for how many years? Shit. I mean, shoot, this happened years ago. I understand. But now it's time to attack. You got yourself a lawyer, female lawyer. You don't have Bugsby. Lord have mercy. And you don't have the other guy. Come find out the other guy that's Lil Rod's lawyer about to be broke or something. This is all allegedly, because this is what the YouTube universe is saying. I wish people stop putting out this fake information. Like this Dr. Umar, man. I'm letting y'all know, man. I'm going this weekend. I'm driving up to Delaware to look at these buildings. I gotta fix the drone first. I gotta take my drone with me, man, because I'm gonna get all kinds of footage. Look here, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Always put God first, man. Peace out.